Okay, so this next lesson is all about how we critique specific claims that people make. So how you go through, you analyse what they said and decide if what they've said is any good or correct or worth listening to. And then we're going to talk about how you go about justifying your own opinions as well. Welcome to What's Your Question? Let's go. Before we get on the main part of this lesson, I'd like to have a think about this question I've placed here. Just try and think back to the previous video and think about, what is bias? What do we mean by bias? If we're biased in something, what does that mean about us? Pause the video here, write down your answer somewhere, or have a think about it, decide what you think it is, and see if you're correct after you've made that decision. Give you time to pause. Great. Okay, so bias means you have a disproportionate weight in favour of something. So you're in favour of something more than you should be. So for example, you work for a company that is making something and trying to make it look good, and you are researching that thing you're trying to make look good. You're biased towards making it look good because it makes you look successful in those cases. Great. We'll move on to the objective. The objectives in today's lesson are that you're going to describe how to critique specific claims. I've placed these objectives here in case you'd missed that, and you're going to describe how we can justify specific opinions as well. Okay, to start with then, how do we critique specific claims? There's a number of steps you need to follow when you're doing this. We're going to look at a few specific parts of the claims that people would make and how we would evaluate what they said and see whether we could agree with it or dismiss what they're saying as being not true and something we shouldn't listen to. You'd start off by looking for the specific claim they'd said. You might have to read through the text and things they've written, but somewhere in what they've written they should make a claim, let's say for example, smoking causes cancer is a claim. You'd look at any claim like that, and if they're making a claim they should have evidence as well, so you'd be looking for what that evidence is. You'd be trying to find references. Often they'll put these at the end of an article to say we found this evidence from here. You can then go and look at those references and see, is there a scientific journal, is it anecdotal evidence, and what the quality of those things is. We are looking to find out if the science is good. Have they followed the scientific method? Have they followed those steps we've talked about before? Have they written a hypothesis? Can you see the method they've followed? Have they collected enough data? Is there enough data to make the conclusion they want to make? And really importantly, is there what we call a causal link between the two things? Because there must be something proving that one thing happening is causing the other one. If they have no connecting stuff, just a correlation on a graph is not enough to make it true. We can look at graphs like this one I've placed here, which shows the number of pirates in the world and the global temperature. And if we look at those two things, you can see when there's very few pirates, the temperature is much higher, and when there's more pirates, the temperature is lower. If this were true, then the number of pirates would cause global warming. And even though that we can see a clear correlation on this graph, we know that the number of pirates can't possibly have an effect on those things. So if someone was making that claim, we need to look at the evidence they have for it and assess, do they have enough evidence to show there is a cause between these two bits of data? And if there's not, the evidence simply should be ignored. It's about reading through what they've said, finding their claim, is it good? Finding their evidence, is it trustworthy? And looking at how that evidence was collected to work that out. If you can't find those things, if you can't find any evidence, it's not something you should be looking at any further unless you research in more detail. If their claim is good and it has plenty of evidence, then you can think about looking for more stuff to back that up. But pay attention to the science, because they may change their opinion over time, as it's really important in science that if we find new evidence, we'll change our opinions on those things. When it comes to justifying an opinion, which you may be asked to do in some cases as well, there's important steps you must take in doing this as well. If written, the best way to justify your opinion is first outline all the different possibilities, all the different possible answers that there could be to what you're trying to answer. Once you've outlined all the different possibilities, you should start linking those possibilities to the evidence. Are there any of those that have more evidence? Any have less evidence? Are there ones we should definitely lean towards, and any ones we should definitely lean away from? You should also think about how you would reply to someone else's criticism of that opinion. Do you think you have enough evidence to be able to turn around and say, no, the other opinions are wrong because of these facts. If you can do that, the opinion you're justifying is good, but if you can't back up what you're saying with evidence, the opinion you're giving isn't one that people are really going to listen to, and so isn't one that should make any difference. When it comes to critiquing, I'd like you to have a think about my opinion that my lockdown haircut is absolutely phenomenal. Thanks very much for watching. Make sure you stay safe, stay alert, stay curious, and subscribe.